In today's video, I'm going to be doing my comparison of the brand new T-Mobile Revvl 8 versus the Samsung Galaxy A17 5G. Stay tuned. Alright everyone, hopefully guys are having a good day. Hopefully everyone is safe out there. We have the brand new Revvl 8 on the left side and the brand new Galaxy A17 on the right side right here. Both these devices are going to retail for about $199. So they are evenly matched. Of course, for the T-Mobile Revvl 8, you can only get this at Metro by T-Mobile or T-Mobile, and you can get it for free if you open a new line at T-Mobile, or of course port your number over to Metro by T-Mobile or T-Mobile. Now, as far as the Galaxy A17, this is a strictly unlocked device currently. I'm sure they're going to have this device at many other carriers much later on once it comes to the States. So in this video, I'm going to be comparing the specifications and of course my experiences with both these devices, and in the end, I'm going to tell you which device I think is better. All right, everyone, so first and foremost, we're going to start off with the builds of these devices. Both these devices have a pretty solid build, especially for only being $200. However, I believe the Galaxy A17 is the better looking device overall. However, the Revvl 8 does look nice and it does have this frosted back. This is a subjective thing, but the bezels are just so much thicker on the Revvl 8. Also, the back on the Galaxy A17, I believe, looks a lot more premium than the Revvl 8, since the Revvl 8 is kind of going with this like Pixel 2 type of look or Pixel 3 type of look. It is a very outdated look. I do like the refresh of the Revvl 8. I think it looks a lot nicer than past devices. However, it is a much older looking device to the Galaxy A17 sleek design right there. And of course, we have the Key Island design on the Galaxy A17 as well. One thing I do, however, like better about the Revvl 8 is going to be the fingerprint sensor on the right side of the device. This is a much more accurate fingerprint sensor than the Galaxy A17 is. I feel like this is about a 8 out of 10 as far as like a fingerprint sensor. It opens up about 8 out of 10 times. However, the Revvl 8 opens up 10 out of 10 times. It is a very, very solid fingerprint sensor. But as far as like build quality, the form factor, the look and everything, I do like the Galaxy A17 more. Next up, we're going to be getting into the displays on these devices. First and foremost, the Revvl 8 is going to have a 6.58-inch Full HD Plus IPS LCD display with a 120 Hz refresh rate. On the right side, the Galaxy A17 is going to have a 6.7-inch Super AMOLED display with a 90 Hz refresh rate. So we have a 90 Hz refresh rate on the Galaxy A17 and a 120 Hz refresh rate on the Revvl 8. Which one is better in my experience? I still think the Galaxy A17 is a much better display, being that it is an AMOLED display. So you have an OLED display on here. The colors are going to be much deeper. They're going to be much brighter. They're going to be much nicer. They're going to look more premium. You're going to have a better time on this device when watching social media, watching Netflix, watching Hulu, watching YouTube, playing video games and stuff like that. Things are going to look better on the Galaxy A17 for you. The reason being is because, yes, the Revvl 8 does have a 120 Hz display. However, it looks like a TFT display and not a regular IPS display. We have a big dark spot right here when we turn this display, which is why the Galaxy A17 is going to be the winner for the display. Next up, as far as our processor goes, the Revvl 8 has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 6 Gen 3 inside of this device, which is a decent low to mid-range end processor, and it's actually better than the Galaxy A17's processor, which is only the Exynos 1330. Yes, you heard it there. They are still using the same processor that we've seen on the Galaxy A14. Crazy stuff right there. I don't know why they didn't do an update or a refresh on the processor for the Galaxy A17. Very, very, very disappointing stuff on this device. Not to mention that the Revvl 8 has 6 gigabytes of RAM in this device, and the base model of the Galaxy A17, I'm not talking about the modifications where you can go up to 8 gigabytes of RAM, I'm talking about the plain Jane base model Galaxy A17 only has 4 gigabytes of RAM. Very, very disappointing stuff right there, especially compared to the Revvl 8. So as far as like the internals, when it comes to RAM and when it comes to the processor, the Revvl 8 is going to be a better overall processor for everyday tasks and use. So yes, this is going to have the better processor inside of it, much better processor. Actually, this has the Galaxy A36's processor inside of it. So that's a $400 phone if you guys know anything about that device. that is in the Revvl 8. A $200 phone, or free phone for that matter if you got it from Metro or T-Mobile for free. As far as expandable storage, both these devices can use a micro SD card up to 2 terabytes. So beautiful to see that in both these devices. Love seeing it. Great stuff Samsung, and great stuff T-Mobile. And both have 128 gigabytes of internal storage. I'm not going to be talking about the highest possible storage on the Galaxy A17 because that does go up to 256. I know this, but the base model is going to be 128 gigabytes of internal storage, so keep that in mind. Next up, as far as the software updates, the Revvl 8 is going to have 5 years of security patches. T-Mobile didn't announce how many years of OS updates they're going to have, so that's kind of a bad sign. I'm thinking maybe 1 or 2 years. Hopefully they release that news soon, but they are going to have 5 years of security patches, so they're going to be able to fix bugs and things like that that are messing up the Revvl 8 and your experience. So as far as OS updates, we're going to be talking about that later on once they give us the update, if they even give us the update on that. As far as the Galaxy A17, the updates we're going to have on this is 6 years of operating system updates. Amazing stuff right here. So we're going to go from Android 15 all the way to Android 21 on the Galaxy A17. So that's definitely one of the great things about the Galaxy A17. Beautiful to see it. Finally, getting into the cameras on both these devices. First and foremost, the Revvl 8 is going to have a dual camera setup right here. We're going to have a 50 megapixel sensor, and of course, we're going to have a 2 megapixel sensor that's going to be our macro camera. And also, we have a 13 megapixel front-facing camera on this device as well. Going over to the Galaxy A17 right here, we're going to have a 50 megapixel main camera with a f1.8 aperture and autofocus. Our secondary camera is going to be a 5 megapixel ultra wide angle sensor, and our third is going to be a 2 megapixel macro camera. And of course, we have that LED flash right there as well, just like the Revvl 8. Now, as far as our real world comparison, the key differences between these, first and foremost, the Galaxy A17 does have an additional ultra wide camera inside of here and a macro lens. So it offers more creative options for photography, and it offers more practical use for the majority of people out there. A lot of people out there are not going to be using that macro camera that we have for a secondary camera on the Revvl 8, just because usually most people don't even know it's there, honestly. Unless you're taking pictures of flowers and butterflies and little bugs and things up close like that, you're not going to be using that macro camera. However, the ultra wide is a lot more practical because we are going to want to fit more people or things into that camera lens, whether it's a group photo or you're taking a bigger photo of maybe like a landscape or something like that. This is going to be a much more practical camera. Also, both phones do have a 50 megapixel sensor, but the A17's inclusion of the f1.8 aperture does suggest that there is going to be better low light on the Galaxy A17 rather than the Revvl 8. So that's definitely something to look into. And do make sure to subscribe because I am going to be doing a full camera comparison between both these devices' cameras. So definitely stay tuned for that. It's going to be a decent video. So which phone is the better phone in my opinion? Of course, the Revvl 8 is going to have the better processor, and that's going to most likely give you a better experience as far as like, you know, going through your UI, watching Netflix, playing video games, doing searches and stuff like that. It's going to be the quicker processor overall for daily use. But overall, I still would be going with the Galaxy A17. I think this is the better overall phone. I think this is a more solid device. It has a better display. Of course, it has a better update policy with 6 years of operating system updates, not just security patches. And we also have the inclusion of all the new AI updates and most likely a better camera overall with some better features on here. And of course, this is going to be an unlocked device that you can move to another carrier if you wish to leave your current carrier. But let me know in the comment section down below what device you would choose over the other. The Galaxy A17 was the clear choice for me. Let me know though down below. Of course, if you guys enjoyed this video, drop a like, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. This has been Stefan from TechRight. Peace out, Tech Gang.